everyone, I wanted to tell you a quick story about a recent Virgin Atlantic Airlines flight that I took with my traveling poodle from Orlando, Florida to Glasgow International Airport in British UK, Scotland. Even though my dog had a EU passport that originated from France, he was still quarantined in Scotland for a night. So I wanted to tell you guys about that, so that no matter what EU country your dog is from, or no matter what paperwork they have, even though he has the USDA and he has all of his official paperwork for being a support animal and is accepted in most places, doesn't mean he's always going to be accepted in Scotland. So I just want to make sure that no matter who's been told that your dog's accepted, does not mean he's going to be accepted everywhere. So our trip started out originally in going from Miami, Florida to the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport to catch a Delta flight that we were going to be transferred on to Virgin Atlantic. And Bentley's paperwork was not easily transmitted from Delta to Virgin Atlantic. So I look like a total train wreck because I've driven this morning. It started at 3 a.m. from Miami to Atlanta because I had a ticket coming back from Scotland the last time, which was, I think, Mom, when was the last time we were in Scotland?
July.
Okay, so we were there in July, and our UK flight attendant, our UK, what do you call that person? Oh, travel agent. The travel agent, which my husband is normally the travel agent. He booked us on this flight, and it was actually really inexpensive. He was awesome, because sometimes we don't ever know exactly when we're going to be able to come back from Scotland, and I'll do all my UK business and European business while I'm there, which is great, you know, so we're operating on trains and everything. But he was able to book us where we had to just select a return date, and it had to be within 6 months. So we booked the longest, possible return date. So it would have been 6 months ago from now. We were there, and we booked on, excuse me, sorry about that. We booked on Delta coming back through Atlanta, but Delta has a partner, and his name is Virgin, which we love Virgin. So it happened to be that he was able to get us on this Virgin flight that, believe it or not, is empty, and it's awesome. Mom has her own row. Say hey, Mom. Mom.
Yes.
Say hey to PS This Rocks people.
What's that?
Say hey to PS This Rocks people.
Hey, PS This Rocks. Our first time on Virgin Atlantic.
Oh, it's your first time on here? Really?
The flight?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've ridden their trains before, but never their planes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So she's in for a treat. She doesn't even know it. She's in for a treat. I love Virgin. It's one of my favorite airlines. I have 3 favorite airlines: Southwest, American, and Virgin. I used to love Delta, but not anymore. I mean, Atlanta girls supposed to love Delta, but they have a lot of work to do, including their uniforms. Because who wants to look at ugly, really? I mean, it's kind of gross. Anyway, I will not be with you all in High Point. I will miss you all because I am going to be in Scotland seeing my mother-in-law, and then I have to go to Italy for the Italian government. So I'm super excited about showing you what I'm doing there. And doing a little things for Decor Boss, so make sure that if you haven't already signed up for Decor Boss that you do that. And oh my gosh, Mom, look at my shoulder from carrying your bag. Look at this. Look, I have bruise marks. What is this?
I have bruise marks from putting up your bed.
I know. So my mom pretty much all this week. The reason you haven't heard from me all week is because we have been in the midst of construction.
Rearranging your tile.
And 4D, and that's our Miami condo. That's what I'm calling it, because us designers, we have to name projects, otherwise no one knows what we're talking about, and we need to make it, we can't say my condo, because then they think you're talking about 12 other condo complexes. So anyway, I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Everybody has a plastic garbage. Oh, my mom is heinous. We managed to get all of
laundry at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, but she managed. Let's just show them, Mom. Can you show them what we look like coming through the airport? Okay, wait. This is like not our
here.
typical thing.
I had to show
Hold on.
you.
Yeah.
There it is. Oh, no. There. 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 Oh, we made it!
We made it. And she didn't have to have any baggage fees thanks to Clear. So if you're not already signed up for Clear, I highly recommend it. Because I took some of her bags through Clear for Clear and TSA pre-check. Super helpful. So if you haven't already gotten your Decor Boss pins and your Rockstar pins, Boyd is still in Miami. He can still ship those out for you, or you might actually see them. But make sure that you follow along for our Scottish blog posts. I'm so happy to be sharing those with you. We're off to Scotland. Love you all. Bye-bye. So on the plane, pretty much Bentley, got out to eat as normal, and we were asked to see all of his paperwork because supposedly Virgin did not have that on record from Delta Airlines, which is the airline that we checked in on. Then all the flight attendants and everybody wanted to start taking photos with him, which is great. I signed in on the internet, got them all the paperwork that they were asking for. So I got Virgin all of the paperwork they were asking for and emailed, them anything that they requested. And they told me, go to sleep. We have this handled with the Scottish authorities on the ground. And then when we land. So first of all, when we landed, I was instructed that I needed to deplane, which causes me to lose, all of my American rights. And they were wanting to take Bentley indefinitely. So I refused to vacate the plane. So I recommended that they take me to another airport because they were saying that the Glasgow airport could not accept service animals, which was not my fault because keep in mind that I had booked via Delta Airlines, who rerouted me on Virgin to the Glasgow airport. So supposedly these policemen were coming onto the aircraft to arrest me.
Is this your mum?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Pamela.
Pamela and Christi. You obviously understand all that's happened here. There seems to be a mix-up with that there's no paperwork to say this animal should be in the aircraft. You come into another country, so obviously with quarantine and disease, etc., we're not allowed to let an animal come into the country and roam.
Yeah, but isn't he have his EU paperwork and he's chipped? He's
What we need to do, we need to get an official from the trading standards to come and view all that. I'm not an expert in it in any way. I've never dealt with this before. We need to get an expert to come and look at all that to make sure everything's okay. You understand? You wouldn't like an animal coming into your country.
I understand, but he's saying that why can't I just go with him? Like why can't
we can take you down to the building where what's your dog called? Bentley. We can take you down to the accommodation where Bentley will be looked after. But I think at that point he'll be put into a room that you won't be allowed access to, and it's all to do with. Well,
my husband, I would have access to.
I'm not. Hands up. I'm not 100% sure. We can take you to where Bentley will go, and I don't know how you will be able to touch him or whatever. It's to do with the laws of the country. But what we need to do just now. This plane obviously needs.
What are the laws of your country? Because I have EU paperwork.
Right. Well, that's.
You're part of the EU.
But we need to get.
But he's been here before. But this is not the first time.
I understand that, but no one in this. The captain didn't know there was a dog on his flight.
I mean, that's not my fault.
I know, I'm not blaming you.
We booked with Delta.
Right, but you're on Virgin?
They've already, not on Virgin. We just flew Virgin via Delta.
Right, well, I don't know how that works.
Delta information.
Right, well, what we need to do, we need to get that information and get it shown to a person who's the expert of the country, okay? But just now, we're holding up a plane, getting down to Manchester to go back to America, okay? Right, so you're not doing yourselves any favour by not coming with us. So what we need to do is we need to get Bentley round to the place that he'll get looked after, okay? We need to get you and your mum through customs and get you passing your book. So Bentley needs to go from here into a car and straight round, okay? You would like if a dog came into your country and caused Bentley to get an infection. You've got to look after it that way. So you understand all that. So what
we're my country and every other time I've been in the EU, your dog, there's a microchip.
Right, okay, well that's what we...
It scans with a wand and it comes up on a computer, all the paperwork.
But no one was expecting Bentley to arrive here today.
Your folks chip, why have you brought him on the plane with what was going about?
my dog is Chip. That makes no sense, sir.
You said your dog is Chip?
It was Chip, yeah.
Yeah. So,
I don't know.
Did the plane know about your dog when on the plane?
Delta knew about my dog being on the plane.
That's in the Delta, this is Virgin.
Okay, but I booked on Delta, sir. So
Okay.
you know how airlines are booked?
Yeah, that's fine.
They're booked. I booked via Delta.
Okay, so my concern is,
And this dog has been out of this airport in July on my first flight. If you look at the flight, I'm on my second flight back. Okay,
Right, well the problem's are with Delta not communicating with Virgin, so that then becomes our problem because they've had a problem, so we now need to deal with it, okay? Right?
you're now in the UK. You understand that?
Yeah, the dog came out of the UK, so
Yes,
explain that to me.
you are in the UK just now.
Yeah.
We need to get you through UK control first for immigration, okay? But the dog can't come through immigration control.
But the dog came through immigration control in July. So can you
What?
explain that to me? How the
Once,
dog
well,
came
the dog came through because we were notifying that the dog was coming through. We've not been notifying the dog was coming through this time.
Okay, but that's
I'm so sorry that my mom actually cut the video a little short, but we agreed with the policeman that we would deplane and check through immigration ourselves, and that she would stay with Bentley on the plane, and then I could come back and get him to figure out what was going to happen next in the room, so that the Virgin flight could move forward. So this is what's happened next. Hi everybody. I am on the way right now. Very little sleep. Because of everything that happened with Bentley yesterday. I don't even think I made a video. I don't even know. It's like a blur. But I'm on the way to the airport to supposedly pick him up. Just hoping that he is not so over anxious that this has like affected him for life. I know that sounds totally weird, and people are maybe like thinking, what is wrong with this woman? But anyway, I'm on the way to pick him up now. I'll video you guys whenever I get there. But it's definitely been quite dramatic. It's been a dramatic day, dramatic night, and really unnecessary because of this whole chip thing. So anyway, he was taken yesterday by the Scottish authorities for, just in case I didn't create another video. I don't even know if, like I said, I don't even know if I did or not. My Wi-Fi was not connected some parts of the day. But he was taken off of a Virgin plane yesterday. Basically in mid-air, they came on and said that they did not have record of his service dog requirements, and that I would be met on the ground by Scottish authorities. It was no big deal. They made it out like it's no big deal, that I just needed to give them the paperwork because it wasn't showing up, because they didn't have a pet chip reader, because somewhere along the lines my flight was booked with Delta, and Delta via a Scottish or UK travel agent called ASAP Travel, which is really, really great. My mom's used him several times before, not his fault. But anyway, he had helped us out let's see, back when we were back in July or August, whenever it was we left the UK. Before, keep in mind, my husband is a British passport holder. He's a European Union citizen, because right now, British is still part of the UK, as far as I know. At least today they are, or yesterday they were. And so we have all the paperwork that Bentley needs for him to be able to travel back and forth, because my mother-in-law lives in the UK. We come to visit her. My brother-in-law lives in the UK. My sister-in-law lives in the UK. So nieces, nephews, anyway, everybody lives here. Cousins, and we come over and we visit. And we have all the paperwork that Bentley needs. Matter of fact, he's actually a European passport holder via the French government, and which is all supposed to be a part. He's also USDA registered with our agriculture our agriculture department, and so he's totally legitimate. He's also a service animal, so he flies under the seat in front of me. He's 8 pounds, just in case you're wondering, little white poodle. If you're not already following him, some people follow him on Instagram. He has his own Instagram called Traveling Poodle. But anyway, we landed via booking these flights we were very excited. I love Virgin, love Richard Branson. For those of you who know me, you know I love the disruptor that he is and the airline itself. And everybody was really nice on the airline. They were taking, you know, photographs and everything with Bentley. And the next thing I know, you know, when we land, I'm being met with the Scottish authorities who were basically saying they want to take my dog. And there's no in. And I'm just like, absolutely not. I will not get off the plane. And I'm not going to have this happen. Because there's a chip in the back of his neck that they can scan, and it pulls up all of his documentation, all of his shot records and everything. It's just a little microchip that all dogs that travel have to have in and out of the EU. And he has all of his paperwork, all of his shots, always kept up to date, and they can easily pull them up. Where they were telling me that they didn't have a chip reader, that they were not authorized at the Glasgow airport to actually even bring in service animals. And then they kept going back and forth, so I'll explain more a little bit later. But I'm in the cab and I'm almost at the airport now. So I'll check back with you guys in just a few and explain a little bit more. Okay? Bye. So right now I'm back at the Glasgow airport where I spent almost all day yesterday. Even though I'd planned, we'd booked our flight so that we could be here for the British Mother's Day for my mother-in-law. So we were going to go to church with her, take her out for a nice dinner. You know, the first time I was actually going to be able to spend Mother's Day with my mom-in-law and my mother, at least the UK Mother's Day. So anyway, when we landed yesterday, I thought they were just going to come on the plane and, bring their little scanner on, scan Bentley, see that everything was A-okay, that he has all of his papers. Didn't happen at all. Matter of fact, they came on the plane. Virgin, the managing people with Virgin came on. This is Virgin Atlantic. And they came on the plane and they tell me, stay in my seat, that the authorities for the airport are on their way in. The authorities for the airport come in. They're actually very rude. Didn't ask for any of the paperwork that I'd already given the Virgin authorities on the plane. I even bought Wi-Fi to give them, all the paperwork that's normally connected to my frequent flyer numbers with Delta, with American, with all the, even British Airways, with all the companies that we travel with. So, obviously, I'm assuming because my flight was booked via Delta would have already given them this information, but we already knew in the air, like 1 hour or 2 hours in when I started feeding Bentley, that they discovered that they had no record of a service animal being on board. Because he's so small, they didn't notice. He goes in a bag, he's quiet, he's not a yipper, he's not a whiner, because he's a real service animal. That's what they're trained to be. So anyway, and he's also trained to travel. He travels everywhere. So I get him out to feed him, and they're actually really excited that he's on the plane. All the flight attendants are taking photographs with him, and I'm thinking everything is cool. They just need the paperwork. So I get them the paperwork. I saw it online to get them the paperwork and email it to them, because I couldn't email without paying the internet charges. So no problem. Okay, let's make life easy is what I'm thinking. So when it came time to email them, they didn't want me to email any paperwork. They said, oh no, they just needed to see it. Everything was fine. They would, contact the authorities on the ground here so that, they would just know that there's a service animal coming in, which they typically don't do that I know of, but maybe I just don't know that they're doing that, because they just have a little wand, they scan them, and we're finished, okay? So that's normally like how quick and simple things are. Well, yesterday when we landed, the authorities came on and they're basically telling me that they're taking Bentley. So as you can imagine, that didn't go well. Number one, he's a service animal. Number two, he's part of my family, and he's like my little first son. And you're not just going to take the kiddos without telling without mom pitching a tantrum, which I actually stayed pretty calm. Actually, just it ripped my heart out. I started just bawling. I called Boyd. Fortunately, my mom was on the flight with me. So literally, I just kept getting sick to my stomach. I mean, in ways you can't even imagine. I'm not even going to go there. But let's just say anxiety kicked in like it's never kicked in before. And just craziness. So I go to the bathroom several times. I come out and they're telling me that I have to deplane, that I'm because I'm not, they're wanting me to deplane, but they want me to take him, and they're just taking him. And I said, no, you're not. And I just said, you can turn the plane around and get me back to America, however you want to do it. If a dog can't land at the Glasgow airport, take me back to America, or take me somewhere where I can land with him in the UK. And I can take a train over your borders, whatever you need to do. It's so silly. So anyway, I'm going to pick him up right now, and hopefully going to pick him up. They text me saying that, he's authorized to come out at 2:30. So anyway, let me go back to the story. So I just tell them I'm not getting off the plane. They tell me that I'm going to be arrested. I tell them, go ahead, arrest me. And then I tell my mom basically to start filming, because I'll send whatever to news agencies, because it's ridiculous. I never, ever, ever want anybody to have to go through what I went through yesterday, because it was torment, absolute torment. All day, all night. And in a situation like this, even if they thought he didn't have all of his shots or something, typically they'll just have I can call a vet to administer them. They're telling me that I can't call a vet. They're just taking him, forever taking him, because I should have had paperwork. I should have made sure X, Y, Z had been done, which we do. Anyway, the authorities do come on. The police came on to the plane, and they didn't come on necessarily. It didn't look like to arrest me, but I was pretty much prepared for anything, because I really didn't know what would happen. This is the first time. I've flown to China. He's been to Dominican Republic. He's been everywhere. He's been to Scotland through the same airport. Oh, I should have said that in the very beginning. He's been to the same airport multiple times. Okay? And never, ever, ever have I had this issue. So, as you can imagine, I was really, really surprised. And so they tell me, okay, well, what we're going to do is we need to get you checked in through border control. But they won't take him. They'll leave him in the seat. It's not a gimmick. I didn't really want to go with them. But there was one police officer that was a female. She looked me in the eye and said, that she would make sure that he was left there. And she promised me. And I don't know why I trusted her, but I trusted her. So I left him for a moment. I went with border control, my mom and I did, to get checked in. They were nice to an extent, but just questioned us like crazy. To the point where they're asking questions as to why I'm coming to the UK to even take my mother-in-law out, wanting to know, did my mom and I caregive for her, because they have plenty of caregivers here. And, no one can take the place of family. And I'm sorry, but, I want to get to know my mother-in-law. So, anyway, I went to get checked in, came back, and like the officer said, she was there. She was actually very kind and sweet, and, assured me that, I could go with Bentley, where they were going to take him, and we would get something figured out. So, they had him in, his bag. I asked him, please keep him in his bag, because that's where he feels at home in. And so that's exactly what we did. So what I'm going to do now is show you guys where they took him and hopefully go in to pick him up. So basically we got off the plane right where you're seeing that United Emirates plane, so right there. It's pretty much right where our Virgin flight came in. And so we got in the police car, and then Swissport, this particular company, transported Bentley in a cage, his bag in a cage, and we ended up coming over to this little building here. And I'm going to take you inside this little building because when we got here, evidently it's not used very often. And even though they say that they don't take in animals at all, I've never heard of an international airport not taking in animals. Our USDA or someone has gotten it wrong as to whether they take animals in or not. So, they have it's called an animal holding facility, and it's actually just a little building, but animal holding facility. So they wouldn't even let him go to the bathroom out here. They wanted him to go on concrete inside. And for those of you who do have service animals, they will not, they're not going to go to the bathroom. They're trained to really go on grass or gravel. So after like 30 minutes of them telling me, he's got to go to the bathroom in here, I said there's no way he's going to go to the bathroom on concrete because he just won't do it, even though, it's been, at this point it had been probably we were on the plane maybe a good hour, and then plus the flight over, plus, an hour and a half, in the Atlanta airport. So he wouldn't go. So they brought a tray out and got some of this, told them, please get some of the grass from outside and some of the gravel and bring it inside in a little tray or something for him, because otherwise he's not going to go, because he's not going to step in his own urine. So I'm here and the door is closed, but I'm going to turn my camera around. I don't think I can, so I'm going to just pause this. So I go in with him, they bring the tray in, and he is, although it's really cold out here, like freezing. It's kind of rainy and misty, I should say, here. And I'm hoping that this building got a lot warmer than it had been the last time I was in it, because Bentley was literally just shaking and freezing to death. Anyway, last night was not good. Let's just say not good at all. Just thinking about him being in here by himself, and he has no idea what's going on. He probably thinks he's done something wrong, because that's what service animals do. They think they've done something wrong. So in short, what ended up happening was they kept telling me that they didn't have a chip reader here at the Glasgow airport. And then, so I kept saying, I'm going to call a vet out, because all vets have these chip readers. They're very common. And they were saying, oh, it's, Scottish Mother's Day. You're probably not going to be able to get a vet out. And pretty much I just demanded that we're going to get a vet out because he has all of his shots. In short, we figured out that, or they figured out, or said that he needed a shot, a tapeworm shot, not a shot, but there's a tapeworm pill within 4 months. Well, that's not something we have to have in the U.S., and the USDA website doesn't know that, so our veterinarian didn't know that, because it was a recent change here in the UK where they have to have this tapeworm pill within 4 months. It can't be over 4 months old, and it has to be administered at least 24 hours before they can hit the soil in the UK, which I totally respect that, they're trying to, do the whole tapeworm thing.
But the long of the short is I finally got a hold of a veterinarian. They were super, super nice and came out right away, or within, a couple of hours really, but, right away, considering it was Mother's Day. I was super grateful that they came out, and she administered the little bone-like pill. Bentley took it fine-ish, even though he was shaking like crazy. And she was easily able to read everything on his chip. And matter of fact, even said to the airport authorities, why weren't you guys able to read this for her? Like, it's not a big deal. And he actually brought out his reader at that point. So I kind of lost trust. Lost trust. And then when they told me they didn't have a reader because this airport was not set up to accept animals, well, obviously they have a holding facility. So I don't really know what it is. Boyd's investigating that part. Thinking about sending this to a couple of journalists and letting them investigate it because, at this point I'm just happy to have Bentley back. And I just want to make sure that you guys, if any of you are flying into Glasgow or the UK for that matter, that you check every single thing again and again and again and again. I mean, basically I have a person's number on the ground, and they were telling me that, in one breath they told me that I couldn't fly back into here with them, that I needed to look for alternative solutions. And then the next minute he's telling me just to take his email address and email him if I'm coming back in. Well, I know I'm always going to come back in as long as my mother-in-law is here. And, my mom actually enjoys this area, and she has a lot of friends here, and so she loves to pop over and visit. And obviously we love Scotland, but this is not fun, and this is not great for Scottish tourism at all. So if you're Scottish out there, contact your local authorities regarding this, because there's no telling how much this has cost you guys as taxpayers. I paid for the veterinarian bill, which was about £130 yesterday for a pill that I think in America would have cost about $22. So that was, and I understand, there's maybe $100 rush, or £100 rush fee. So I'm not complaining about that, but do make sure that you contact your authorities, because this has cost taxpayers in Scotland a lot of money. So behind these bars, somewhere in there is Bentley. He's supposed to be right in here. Can't really see him. There's no one here to let me in. So hopefully, they're saying right at 2:30 that they will be here. I'm certainly hoping so. So you may be wondering why I'm saying that, Scottish people need to contact authorities regarding this. Number one, whenever you have drama like this, it's very unnecessary, and to have a town council that decides something coming off of an international flight, I've just never even heard of such, but maybe that's very common here. Maybe I'm just totally oblivious to how things work in Scotland compared to the rest of the world, but I can't even imagine. I mean, we don't even have these issues in flying into third world countries. They're more put together, and they seem to know their law quite a bit more than they knew yesterday, because they were telling me that they were going to look at they were looking at documentation, and as to why maybe our USD website was wrong, and so it's kind of crazy. They were also asking for paperwork that wasn't even included on their own website, which is fine. I don't mind ever giving people more paperwork as to why Bentley is a service animal, but it's just very uncalled for. A matter of fact, a violation of my own health, and I just don't think it's called for. I felt like they were being extremely nosy regarding that, because if I provide them the paperwork, that should be all that they need. And I know that they're dealing with things like pigs and things, and they kept questioning why does he have pink hair. Well, obviously look at me. Do I look like I'm going to carry a boring dog around? No. And, that's part of what I like to do, but that's, he's not in a circus per se. He is a fun dog. I want people to smile when they see him because he has his own little personality, and, he's just a great, great dog. And I mean, who is someone to say what's a disability? Oh, they kept telling me that service animals, the only service animals recognized by the EU or the UK government, are for the deaf and the blind. There's a lot of people and a lot of dogs out there that service a lot more than deaf and blind. And yes, I realize you can see if someone's deaf or blind, but the reality is, service animals today are trained and equipped to provide a lot more. I mean, dogs can sense smell, which Bentley does. He can detect if someone needs to take medication, like me, and prevent a lot of different things. So I would say that, we're all really, really careful in like judging what something is or how someone looks, maybe a handler looks, because hey, we all come in different shapes, sizes, colors, everything. And just because, I happen to have my white poodle cut into a mohawk, his hair is cut into a mohawk and dyed pink, that doesn't mean that, he's not a service animal or that he should be judged otherwise outside of his own paperwork and outside of what's in his chip. So anyway, but what I'm saying regarding the, how much it's probably cost, I mean, it's cost somebody money, right? Because I didn't have to pay for him to stay here. They had to turn on the heat. There's been, the number of people that I've spoken with, like regarding this, that I know of, has been 7 or 8 people, plus border control, and the excessive questioning and border control. And yes, people want to say about the United States, protecting their borders and everything. My husband is a UK citizen. I mean, if I wanted to move here and get my citizenship, I could. He is a UK citizen. So, for people to go beyond and, make it as if, the U.S. is doing something beyond what we're supposed to do to protect our own borders, I beg to differ, because I come here on flights, I come here legitimately, and these kind of things still happen to me. So I would definitely question anyone who thinks that protecting our borders is not important. And I admire the Scottish people for protecting yours, but just be really careful when you're starting to swing the rope and say that we shouldn't protect, the U.S. should not protect our borders to everyone, because I mean, the U.S. is a great country. This is a great country, and we're all fortunate to live in great countries, even with our service animals and everything. But this could have easily been prevented. Yesterday, they could have administered the pill to Bentley and probably saved Scottish taxpayers. I don't know exactly how much it's cost, but maybe 2,000 pounds is my guesstimation, because dramatic things like this, it costs everybody time, which costs taxpayers money, because they have to get more staff and they have to pay for various things, whether it's Virgin that has to pay for this or Delta that has to pay for it, or if somebody's fined. I don't know, have no idea what that's all about. But regardless, I'm glad that the borders here are protected, but at the same time, it's sad that things can't be made simple as they are in many third world countries by having this universal reader for chips. So make sure that when you guys are voting that you think about those things.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Right, so she's okay. Right, so she's okay just to take him then, yeah? Right.
Okay, I just spoke to a lady named Jennifer who, she was very nice. But, you know, again, in one breath, she was like, hey, when you come in, make sure that you have the paperwork. And then in another breath, it's like, oh, but you can't take these airlines, these certain airlines in here because they don't pay for something for service animals. I don't really know what it is. I'm going to try to find out so we all know. But basically she was saying like Delta and Virgin don't pay for something for service animals to come in. But I mean, I would think for me that should have been figured out when the ticket was booked, and he was identified on the ticket because he left on the same ticket. Basically, we booked a round trip ticket from here the last time, so I was actually on my return ticket. So you would think they would know. I don't really know what the answer is. I'll definitely report back to you guys once I do find out. Just to hopefully keep everybody from having to go through, you know, anything like this. It's just crazy. Yesterday I should have been coming out this door with Bentley. Today I picked him up and there was no veterinarian that came out to inspect anything for him, no paperwork. So pretty much I just left without any of that. I mean, they do know obviously who I am, so I wasn't concerned about that part or really anybody taking him. But it's just so strange. All of it's just so strange.
So I did get Bentley back, and I got a response from the UK government regarding the exact violations, which was basically just his tapeworm pill that he had not received, and they wanted him to have a renewed Scottish passport. So I'll make sure to post their response on the blog for you all to read yourselves. And do make sure that you hold your little babies tight, and do check your government website anytime you're traveling with your pets. Be sure to subscribe to psthisrocks.com if you want any of our blog post information, or you can subscribe to Bentley's personal Instagram or Facebook pages, which is @travelingpoodle with 1L. Thank you all for being so concerned about him and for your thoughts and prayers.